Well, hello, and I'm going to get through chapter 7 with these video lectures, and the last one is 7.4, and it's homeostasis in cells. It's almost 7:05, I think, in the morning. We're working hard. So anyhow, the far side did a good one. It's very practical for what we're talking about right now. It says, let me get this off of here, right here. Stimulus response, stimulus response. Don't you ever think? Perfect for what we're talking about for homeostasis in cells. Our goal is to relate structure to function for the components of plants and animal cells again, and also explain the role of cell membranes as a highly selective barrier. Moving along here. Let's think about it. The diversity of life is so great that you might have to remind yourself that all living things are composed of cells, using the same basic chemistry and even the same kind of organelles in them. So does this not mean that all living things are the same? No. Differences arise from the ways in which cells are specialized and in the ways in which cells associate with one another to form multicellular organisms too. So our objective is to explain how unicellular organisms maintain homeostasis first, and then 2, explain how multicellular organisms maintain homeostasis. All right, moving on. A single-celled or unicellular organism does everything you would expect a living thing to do. Just like other living things, unicellular organisms must achieve homeostasis, a relatively constant internal and chemical condition. To maintain homeostasis, unicellular organisms grow, they respond to the environment and transform energy, and they reproduce. In fact, in terms of their numbers, unicellular organisms dominate life on Earth. Unicellular organisms include both prokaryotes and eukaryotes. Some examples of unicellular prokaryotes, especially bacteria, are remarkably adaptable and live almost everywhere. They're in the soil, and in the trees, and the leaves, and the ocean, and the air, and even within you. And other unicellular eukaryotes are like, we call them protists. They include diatoms, golden algae, dinoflagellates, amoebas, sporozoa, plasmodia, which, by the way, causes malaria, protozoa, ciliates, and paramecium are some examples. Okay, so there's also some types of algae which contain chloroplasts and are found in oceans, lakes, and streams around the world, and they are also single-celled. Yeast is another example, or unicellular fungi, are also widespread. Yeast play an important part in breaking down complex nutrients, which makes them available for other organisms. Whether it's a prokaryote or a eukaryotic, homeostasis is an issue for each unicellular organism. Every unicellular organism needs to find sources of energy or food to keep concentrations of water and minerals within certain levels and to be able to respond quickly to changes that might occur in its environment. So objective 1 is explain how unicellular organisms maintain homeostasis. They grow, respond to their environment, transform energy, and they reproduce. So how about this multicellular organism? How do they maintain homeostasis? All right, the cells of multicellular organisms are independent, and like the members of a successful baseball team, they have to work together. In baseball, players take on the particular role, such as a pitcher, catcher, infielder, outfielder. Messages and signals are sent and understood by teammates and coaches to play the game effectively. Cells in multicellular organisms work the same way. The cells in multicellular organisms become specialized for particular tasks and communicate with one another in order to maintain homeostasis. The cells in multicellular organisms are specialized with different cell types playing different roles. Some cells, in fact, are so specialized they're made to move, others need to react to the environment, and still others to produce substances that the organism needs. No matter what the role, each specialized cell contributes to the overall homeostasis of the organism. Here's a couple examples for you. Did you guys know that particles of dust, smoke, and bacteria are even in the cleanest air? So how do we get this stuff inside our lungs, and how do we get them out? Specialized animal cells in lungs act like the street sweepers to keep the particles out of the lungs. These cells move around a lot, get back and forth, and they have these little cilia on the upper surface to help move them around. So they are full of mitochondria because they need a lot of energy to move around like that. Interesting, right? Here's a picture of them right there. Another type of plant cell that's specialized are like pollen grains, that are very highly specialized. They are tiny and light with thick cell walls to protect the cell's contents. Look how thick that cell wall is there. And inside there's the nucleus. They also have these tiny little wings like that, which enable the slightest breeze to carry them great distances. Pretty cool, those plants. They figure everything out, I gotta tell you. So the specialized cells in multicellular organisms are organized into tissues and then into organs and then finally into organ systems. So you have this muscle cell, for example, and then it goes into the tissue. A tissue is a group of similar cells that perform a particular function. To perform complicated tasks, many groups must work together. Tissues work together as an organ, and each type of tissue performs an essential task to help the organ function. In most cases, the organ completes a series of specialized tasks. A group of organs that then work together to perform a specific function is called the organ system. For example, the stomach, the pancreas, the esophagus, the intestines, they all work together as part of the digestive system. So the organization of the body cells into tissues, organs, and organ systems create a division of labor among the cells that allow the organisms to maintain homeostasis. Cells in large organisms need to be able to communicate by means of chemical signals that are passed from one cell to another. These cellular signals can speed up, I don't mean cell phones, I mean cell, or slow down the activities of cells that receive them and cause the cell to change what it is doing. And in order to do this, they have to have communications within each other. So they form connections or cellular junctions to neighboring cells. And there's like 3 basic types of cellular junctions you're going to need to know. Some junctions can hold cells firmly together, all right? Some are called desmodes, so they have like little hairs going inside them. Others are called tight junctions, and still others are called these gap junctions. Let's look at some examples. Oh, by the way, gap junctions make up brain and heart cellular junctions. So we have the first one we have here is in the small intestines, and they have desmosomes in them. All right, so it's a kind of a looser kind of junctions between the plasma membranes, and the protein strands hold the cells together between them. Desmosomes. The next one is the gap junctions, and these you find an example of them in the liver right here. And the gap junctions have these channels between them that connects the adjacent insides of the adjacent cells, so things can move back and forth like that through the cells. So that's another way that cells communicate. My favorite one is this one, the urinary bladder ones, the tight junctions. They hold those cells, those 2 cell walls between very, very close. All right, so they're sealed off by these tight junctions, and these protein strands hold it together. Why do you think you might need a tight junction in your bladder? Think about that one. All right, and even within plant cells, you have junctions between the cells so the cells can communicate back and forth. All right, so objective 2 was to explain how multicellular organisms maintain homeostasis. So the cells in multicellular organisms become specialized for a particular task and communicate with one another to maintain homeostasis. All right, so review is explain how unicellular organisms maintain homeostasis. Can you do that? And also explain how multicellular organisms maintain homeostasis. And there is a really freaky picture for you. All right, I'm done for the day, guys. I'm wiped out. Bye. Is that moving? Does it look like it's moving to you too?